Hey everybody, this is the Hollywood Rabbi, and I'm here in Hollywood on the corner of Sunset and Vine to bring you this week's Torah portion. This week's Torah portion is called Mishpat, and Mishpat means laws. And the laws that we're talking about are the 10 Commandments. And we talked a little bit about them last week. The reason why the 10 Commandments were given in the Sinai desert, they weren't given in Mount Moriah in Israel, was because Sinai desert's no man's land. If it was given in Jerusalem, the nations of the world might have said, hey, this is not for us, this is just for the Jewish people. But 10 Commandments were made for everybody to help humanize the world and teach about rights and freedom. And what did the people say? They said, Nasheh v'nishma. They said, we shall hear and we shall do. And part of spirituality, part of religion, a big part of it, is behavior. The way you behave, that's the things that matter. It's not how well you're able to get in the lotus position and perform transcendental meditation on the top of a mountain peak in Nepal. But it really comes down to your behavior. What type of choices do you make in this world? What type of an impact do you make? The beginning of the 10 Commandments really lays it out, and it says, I am the Lord your God who took you out of the land of Egypt, out of slavery. God did not intend human beings who are created in the image of God to be slaves. He intended them to be free. And these laws help gather everyone's freedom. For example, Mark Twain once said, my freedom ends where my fist meets your nose. We can't have our freedoms impinge on anyone else's rights. Also, some of the laws that were discussed were the laws of Evet Ivri, the Hebrew servant. And it is, the Maimonides said, the laws apply to the Hebrew servant as much as they apply to the non-Jewish servant. Is that we are all created in the image of God, and we do not allow anyone to abuse anyone else. So that idea of beating your slave or misusing your slave is not allowed. The only reason why they allowed slavery in the Bible was because of usually either the person had stolen money, couldn't pay it back, or maybe had actually didn't steal money, but maybe he owes money. Israelites didn't have a concept of prison. They didn't believe in putting people in cages. They believed in utilizing their times and making the most of our time. And if you owed something, you had to pay it back. But after 6 years, you were supposed to be let free on the 7th year, unless that person decided they wanted to become a slave for life. And some people, were happy. That was their life. They enjoyed living with the family. But nonetheless, given the same quarters, living conditions had to be given to the slave. So if you slept on a Posturepedic bed with a down pillow, you had to offer that to your servant. It wasn't economically as advantageous. If you're going to eat a steak dinner, you had to give your servant a steak dinner. So it wasn't about subjugation and persecution. It was about working off a debt. But it was up to human beings to do away with slavery. Unfortunately, we talked about last time, there are more slaves right now that are being reported by the United Nations than ever before in history, as far as human trafficking. And this is something that we, as a free people, we who have collectively gone through the experience of slavery, must advocate for other people. This should be number one on our agenda, to ensure freedom for all, justice for all, and help those who can't advocate for themselves and teach them to advocate for themselves. I couldn't believe it. I was driving down Crenshaw Boulevard one day, and I saw a sign that said, if you're being held captive as a slave, and you're being threatened, call this number for help. It's confidential. This is in Los Angeles, California. A big billboard about asking people if they needed help, if they were being held as slaves. So we must fight against this evil of slavery and ensure that everyone is entitled to their human rights to live a life of health and happiness and prosperity and making good choices. This is the Hollywood Rabbi wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom and a wonderful weekend. Many blessings to you all. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you back again next time.